Board of the City of West Miami. My name is Gustavo Ceballos. Fellow board members, I'm joined by Natalie Milian and Diana Rio. We'll go ahead and start.
For the record, this evening, Alvaro Laurido was notified. Eugenio Gonzalez excused himself, not feeling well. Our city attorney is via Zoom.
Okay, great.
And Mr. Gonzalez is on his way.
Mr. Chair. Hello.
Go ahead, Pepe.
All of you that will testify, will you please raise your right hand and repeat after me?
Anybody
I do
speaking
solemnly
tonight?
swear the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I do. First item on your agenda is old business. However, the minutes are not ready, so if we could continue that,
Would you like a motion?
please, for October 25th.
Make a motion to continue.
Second.
Is a roll call sufficient? A voice vote
Yes.
sufficient? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Next item under old business is the agenda item number 1, which is continued review of the existing sign ordinance. If we could skip that for later and go on to new business.
Okay.
Agenda item number 1, public hearing agenda item, special use permit 2022-006. Property address is 5859 Southwest 16th Street, Somerset Academy Foundation. Applicant is requesting a special use permit for the property. At this location, the property totals 48,780 square feet. The total acreage for the R3 private school church parcel is 1.11 acres. The parcel is within the private school religious institute designation of our comp plan. The applicant is requesting to permit the expansion of the student population from 289 students to 450 students. Applicant will provide alterations to the church building and reconfiguration of the existing parking lot areas to drop off and pick up stacking on the property. In addition, the dismissal times will be staggered and lessen impacts in the areas. Property will be enhanced with landscape buffers to the east and west side of the properties for the protection of the residential homes. Zoning ordinance 282, section 2A.
Feel free.
Good evening, board members. If you'd like, I can wait a second.
How are you? For the record, Mr. Gonzalez is present.
Go ahead.
So my name is James Williams. I'm representing the applicant. Tonight I'm joined by my colleague, Mr. Hugo Arza. I'm joined by several members from the school of Somerset Academy. I'm also joined by the principal of Somerset Academy Gables, Ms. Suzette Ruiz. Tonight, if Hugo, if you could press the next slide. There we go. So the property in question tonight is located at 5859 Southwest 16th Street. As you see, I've marked it in green. This is a school that has been a part of this community since 2013. The parcel itself measures out to approximately 1.12 acres in size. It is a single parcel. Next slide, please. So the property is currently developed with essentially two buildings. Two buildings are connected by an open outdoor courtyard. It's not so highlighted in this image. I'll show you the specifics later, but you can see the connection point on the top right. That is the outdoor patio area. Currently on this site, you have two different uses. To the north, you have been approved for a school, which is the location of Somerset Academy Gables. That currently operates. It's highlighted in pink. And to the south of the site, because it's a staggered two buildings, to the south is the location of the previous church site that have been operating there in excess for 40 years. Next slide, please. So Somerset Academy Schools has had a long-standing reputation in South Florida. They first opened their doors in 1997, and since then, they have been a top-tier charter school. To give you some site-specific background and history, this site specifically has been used as a church and a religious institution to the south, and has had a long-standing relationship to the north portion of the property as a school. In 1987 and 2008, there were approvals for a daycare school. It's an educational use, but for the younger children to operate there, so it's had that history. In 2013, Somerset Academy came before the Planning and Zoning Board and also the City Commission, and they were approved to operate and make some site plan modifications. So they remodeled the building in 2013 to the north building that I showed you earlier in order to accommodate several classrooms in this two-story building. During that time, in 2013, the church was leasing the property to Somerset. In 2020, which is this year, just recently, there was an opportunity to purchase the entire site. And so Somerset Academy thought it'd be a great idea to finally have the whole property as an exclusive use for the school. This brings us to the request. Next slide, please. So the request before you tonight is a special use permit. As a special use permit is a typical application, it's essentially a site plan application. But in this case, we're specifically requesting to expand the enrollment from 286 to 450 students. That's an increase of approximately it's an increase of 164 students. With the approval of the increase of enrollment, we're also requesting to remodel the sites, what I refer to as, and what many of us refer to as, an adaptive reuse. Adaptive reuse projects are essentially you're taking the existing building and you're remodeling the interior, you're making improvements to the actual site, but you're not expanding the footprint, and you're not touching the outside beyond some physical improvements, minor improvements, but you're not adding to the property. So what we've done here is, as part of this request, you'll have the adaptive reuse, but you're going to have a complete reconfiguration of the existing parking lot. And I'm going to show you before and after slide so you can really understand the magnitude of the effect of the change. This is one of those projects that pictures speak 1,000 words, and it really communicates why this is a better plan overall for the area. If we could hit the next slide. So here's a side-by-side. To the left side of the screen, you have the existing site plan. That's what's there today. To the right side of the screen, you have the proposed site plan. And right off the bat, the first thing you notice is how much green space is actually being added to the site. So you'll see on both sites, we're not increasing the building footprint at all. What we're doing is, as I mentioned, the blue area was where the church was operating out of. Church is no longer there. So what we're requesting as part of this application is to bring in 11 new classrooms, which you'll see highlighted in blue, with bathrooms and additional educational office space. To the north of the blue, which is to the top, highlighted in pink, and I put improved. That is the outdoor courtyard that you saw in those the photographs on the right side of the screen earlier. This outdoor area, it just has canopy covering. What we're planning on doing, the architect has designed permanent walls on the side with a permanent roof, but it's still going to be open air. And it sounds a little, for me, it was hard to understand until I had to see it. So I'll show you that on the next slide. But as you can see, I've also pointed out the increased landscaping and buffering. And you'll notice that on the image to the left, what's existing, we've actually removed asphalt. We've removed parking spaces, and we've actually now increased the buffering to the neighbors to the east and to the west. We're adding, I'll show you the architectural design considerations we've taken in just a moment. But as you'll see also to the south, we've gotten rid of the parking spaces that were there that flared out, and we've now brought in more landscaping. It's very rare you see a project actually increase landscaping from when it's already been approved. Next slide, please. So like I was saying, the open patio area, it's going to be improved with the structures. I've marked it out. In the middle, you're going to have permanent walls, you have a permanent roof, but it's still going to have that open air and circulation from the sides. Next slide, please. This is just to give you an idea of the north and south elevations. from what you're seeing at the church is the south, the main entrance, and then the north elevation is the existing school along Southwest 16th. Next slide, please. So I already showed you the plans, but I wanted to highlight the site plan. As you can see what I've done, and I won't go through each and every element of the site plan and how we meet the criteria, what I've pointed out is that this plan actually either meets the code or it exceeds the code in every regard. There's not one variance request that we're making. Everything from parking to height to setbacks to especially landscaping, we meet or exceed the code. Next slide. So here are the architectural design considerations. And I know this is a lot on a slide, but I thought it was really helpful in order to show you the magnitude of the changes that we've made here. And I'm going to work counterclockwise. So I started to run out of colors, but starting with the gray on the top right, there's these connecting walkways. And if you look at the bottom left screen, that is the existing plan as of today. So I can't move the mic, but you can see the walkways were never there. Where it connects to 16th Street, see the walkways on the top where I've highlighted them gray? So the reason we put these walkways in is simply because so many people started walking their kids to school. They didn't have an actual area to go besides walking into the driveway. So this is one of those projects where we've been in the community, we've always worked with the community, but we have an opportunity to enhance the landscape plan, enhance the site plan. And one of the considerations that the school is giving was, well, when we have students with their parents walking to school, how can we do it in the safest way possible? And this was the opportunity to now improve it, because while we got rid of about 50 square feet of landscape space to put those walkways in, as you'll see at the bottom, we've now removed there was a driveway where the church would have a car that would park in the middle of that landscape area to the south, all the way at the bottom. We've now converted that into recreational space. So we've added 3,260 square feet of recreational space to the previous plan. Because now, and what we did is we had more than enough to get rid of the size in order to create those walkways. The gumbo limbos are incredible shade trees. So what we're doing is we're really trying to beautify it, increase the buffering between the neighbors. So we specifically picked trees like the gumbo limbo that we're going to put in the corners. We've also, coming now counterclockwise, I have a blue box on the top. That blue box is indicating, if you look at the old plan, where there was parking spaces and asphalt, we've now included 17 feet of width of landscaping from the property line that was never there to begin with. As you go down, it narrows out. We go from 2 feet of landscaping to 9 feet along the property, along the boundary on the west side coming down. As you get all the way, as we keep going in order, we are now doing Clusia, which is the #1 privacy hedge in South Florida. It's a very dense hedge. It can grow up to 20 feet if it's not managed. So you have a lot of height there that you can play with. We're providing 180 of those along the property lines. As you keep going counterclockwise to the purple, you have the silver buttonwood trees. You see those a lot in South Florida because they're great at providing a dense buffer of landscaping. It's a dense, as you can see, it's a dense tree. As you go further down, we increased, there was 3 parking spaces, right? We have gotten rid of those parking spaces, and we've actually increased the landscape width to 20 feet on the bottom. Now, this is great for not only residents, but as you're walking across the school, as you're walking down the sidewalk, you're now not looking into just a straight parking lot. You now have a nice, enhanced, aesthetically pleasing view of landscape. As we make our way around, you have the additional recreational area that I've indicated, 3,260 feet. We're getting rid of the driveway, essentially, that was there, and we're now enhancing it with trees and additional landscape. As you make your way around, you have, again, marked in blue, additional widths of landscapes at the beginning, at the end, and you have more than enough trees on this site. So this has really turned into a very green heavy project. Next slide, please. So, like I said, one of the changes that we've done is to the entire parking area. Right now, as it stands, the way that the schools operate, they've only used the driveway to the west. That's how they've gotten their parents in and out. This plan now proposes using both driveways. It's going to be a lot more effective, but they've always been able to manage with the increase of students. They've always been able to manage the capacity that they've had. So in the traffic operation plan, what I did is I highlighted the staff traffic personnel, that's the S's, and I've highlighted them in green circles. As you can see, there's 6 different areas where we're going to have personnel moving along traffic. So this is going to help prevent people from just sitting there parking, waiting, and pushing everything back. It's going to create a constant flow of in and out. Not only that, we're providing 3 shifts. So we start at 7:30 in the morning and we end at 8:30, and we're breaking it up by 6 through 8, PK through 2, and then 3 through 5. In the afternoon, you have 1 hour starting from 2 to 3. Those are going to be your 3 shifts, and that will be for all grade levels. Now, as part of the traffic operations plan, as part of the traffic study that your consultants have reviewed and have given the recommendation of approval, your consultants are on board with the plan. They reviewed all the analysis, but one analysis in particularly I wanted to highlight. It's the accumulation assessment. The accumulation assessment tells you how many vehicles you have to be able to store on site so that there's no overflow into the residential areas, no overflow into 16th or 15th. And what that assessment determined was that you need to have at least 15 vehicle stacking opportunities on the site in the morning, and you had to have 17 in the afternoon. The school is actually able to provide, with using both of the driveways and using all the parking, they have 29 places for 29 vehicles that they can stack on site. It's almost double what is required. So there's more than enough, and according to your consultants and to our traffic engineers, there's more than enough parking on site to handle all of the cars in the morning and in the afternoon for dismissal and arrival. Next slide, please. So again, these are the improvement highlights. I'll go through it very quickly. It's going to be aesthetically pleasing. You're going to have the development of the breezeway, which is really going to have a nice connection point to both buildings, opposed to this temporary canvas canopy that currently exists. You're now going to have like a constant flow. So instead of 2 different buildings, 2 different uses, we're now combining it to be in a very aesthetically one cohesive project. So it looks in place and in character with the surrounding area. The second is the enhancement to the landscaping and landscape buffers. The reason I focused on landscaping so much, and I might have focused on it too much, was simply because when you have enhanced landscaping and you have this additional 17, 20 feet width increase, you're also going to have these dense buffers. And these dense buffers are aesthetically pleasing, so you're looking at green walls, but they also prevent noise. They help reduce any noise that are generated from the property from spilling over. And that's really what we wanted to have this nice green space, but there was the added benefit of the noise reductions. The internal walkways for the sidewalks, that's an opportunity for us to make it safer, make it more walkable for the surrounding area. There's going to be no outdoor speakers on the property. They currently don't have outdoor speakers. Everything the way they have their communication set up right now is through walkie-talkies, handhelds. So neighbors never have to worry about outdoor speakers being used. If you look at the image to the right, there's all these wall units, these AC units, and what the inside of the building for the church, what they did is they have centralized air, but they compartmentalized each space, and so each space needed its own AC because the centralized air didn't go through all those units. So we're actually going to take all those off, which is going to reduce further noise, and everything's going to now be open space, and it's going to be using the centralized air only. We've increased the recreational space, like I said, to a total of 6,645 square feet, 3,210 additional recreational area for play. We've enhanced the operations plan, like I showed you, and then we're providing state-of-the-art classrooms. These are all going to be top-of-the-line, smart boards, things of that nature. Next slide, please. So the need, which is really why we're here, because if there wasn't a need, they wouldn't want to, no school would want to spend all this money and just have it sitting empty. But there is a serious need. There is currently a 1,000 student waiting list for this school in particular, for Somerset Academy Gables. There's been a demand, as everyone knows, there's been a lot of people that moved into South Florida, especially into South Miami, and from the census, over the last 10 years, you've had the population growth, and this is to 2020, you've had a population increase of 1,268 people. That's just in West Miami. Now, the student base is primarily consisting of, it's not just West Miami. I'm not going to say you have 1,000 students just from West Miami, but there's a large number from West Miami, and the other large numbers from the Gables surrounding. Those are the students. As of right now, you have at least 1,000 students that want to come, that want to use this school area, and I think this is the perfect meeting of the minds between aesthetically pleasing, safe, and actually a benefit to the neighbors. Next slide. So, what does your staff think? And I've already told you what your traffic engineers and your consultants have thought, but your staff has looked at all these requirements for the approval for the recommendation. They've looked at compatibility. Will the school meet the compatibility of excessive traffic? Will it generate excessive traffic? It won't. Will there be an overcrowding of people? No. Is it going to provoke a nuisance? No. And so they've analyzed compatibility. They've analyzed the vehicle circulation system. They've looked at the buffering of the landscaping. They've looked at the overall design, the cohesiveness, the architectural compatibility with the city and with the community and the city of itself. They've looked at the proposed parking configurations and traffic counts, and they've looked at the dismissal periods from what was existing to what's being proposed. And they've found that everything's been compatible and consistent with the code. Next slide. So the overall staff recommendation is they're requesting that a recommendation be provided of approval to the City Commission for this project. And as I've highlighted, and I know I've beat it, I've beat the horse, but this is a great project where a school has been in your community, has been a great member of your community, and they have an opportunity not only to increase the site plan so that they can accommodate new students, but to actually accommodate the residents surrounding. A lot of the neighbors know the schools, they've had great relationships, but you're also looking at a site plan which to me, it jumps out, it's very green. We're not requesting to increase the building sizes, we're simply requesting to enhance the property so that we can accommodate the new students, but we can accommodate the neighbors in the surrounding area. Thank you. If I may, very briefly, I know it's Thanksgiving this week, but the principal for Somerset Academy Gables is here. I'd like, if you don't mind, if she stands up and gives a little background information on the school and the operations.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Good evening, board members. It's really an honor to be here before you today with this application. And also, I also want to take this time to thank our parents who are here with us today. And just really, I know that Mr. Williams went over the application, and I just wanted to share that it's been an honor to be a part of this city for so many years now. Back in 2013, we came before you to ask for our school to start, and ever since, we have been able to serve so many different families and hoping to have the opportunity to serve so many more. We have many families who have siblings that would love to come into the school, and every single day we have more applicants, and just giving us the opportunity to hopefully increase will allow for all of those families to continue with their children. You know, we take pride in making it a community school, not only to achieve high academic levels. We've been an A school from the very beginning, and in serving all different populations of students, but also giving the students the opportunity to have a very solid education, not only through the academics, but also the development of their character on every single day. We try to do that. So with that, I ask you for your support, and I thank you for listening to our application today. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just might add, this really concludes our presentation. What I would like to do, if it's okay with you, is request some time for a possible rebuttal in case anyone's here to speak on the project.
Understood.
Thank you.
Does city staff have any sort of presentation, or can I open up the public comment?
You could open the public comment.
Okay, I'll go ahead and open up the public comment. You can just please, when you come up, please state your name and your address. Feel free.
Yes, please.
Buenas noches y perdonen que les hable en español, pero la realidad es que mi inglés no es muy bueno para expresarme. Entiendo todo lo que estaban hablando, pero me es difícil Muchas gracias. Buenas noches a todos. Mi nombre es Marta Ascuy. Yo vivo en la ciudad de West Miami por más de 20 años y vivo exactamente al lado de Somerset Academy, en la parte, el 5856 Southwest de la 15th Street. O sea, yo soy por la parte que da a la 15, al lado derecho de la escuela. Como la escuela lleva ya un tiempo ahí, yo no había tenido problema ninguno, pero a partir de la pandemia estoy trabajando, yo trabajo para un banco y estoy trabajando desde la casa. Realmente la bulla de los muchachos en el parqueo, precisamente en el parqueo, no en el área verde que ellos tienen que estar un poco más lejos, es verdaderamente perturbadora para uno trabajar. Yo tengo ventanas de impacto y todo, y el ruido es bien fuerte. Estoy pensando que si están en 280 y pico de estudiantes y van a pasar a 450, el ruido va a ser aún mucho mayor. Yo tengo una condición auditiva llamada tinnitus, que es bien dificultoso y cuando los ruidos son altos es bastante estresante para poderse concentrar. Estoy solamente haciendo una petición. Yo sé que la escuela está ahí, la escuela va a seguir. Esta ciudad, la verdad que fluye sola. Yo he hablado varias veces con los maestros de la escuela dando este complaint. Ellos me han llevado a los muchachos para el otro lado. Pero yo quería pedir algo que quizás a la escuela no le haga costo ninguno y para mí sí va a ser de un beneficio. Los parqueos están hechos a los dos lados, pero ahora mismo cuando yo estaba mirando no veo que el área mía tiene el parqueo de los profesores. Yo estaría pidiendo que en el área de mi lado, el área que da para la 15th Street a la derecha, se pusieran los parqueos ahí de manera que los estudiantes no tuvieran la oportunidad de salir ahí a jugar, porque es imposible tenerlos a ellos localizados en otra área. Esto los llevan para el área, pero ellos vuelven ahí a correr, vuelven ahí a jugar básquet, gritan enormemente y la bulla es bien perturbadora. Esto es una ciudad muy tranquila por muchos años. Ya digo, vivo en esta ciudad por muchos años. Mi petición es solamente esta, que pudieran poner el área de parqueo de los profesores para esta área, y entonces quizás lo que es el drop-off y el pick-up de los estudiantes, no sé cómo lo están reconfigurando en sí, pueda ser, porque sé que mientras el parqueo de los profesores no esté ahí, los muchachos van a continuar viniendo para esa área, y verdaderamente, no sé si a otras personas les molesta o no, pero yo estoy todo el día ahí trabajando, yo no soy maestra, no he tenido la oportunidad de trabajar con estudiantes con ruido, trabajo más bien contabilidad, cosas de números, y concentrarse me es bien difícil. Esto es solo lo que tenía que pedirles. Como les digo, no sería un gasto para la escuela porque en sí los parqueos están hechos y están en planificación ahora mismo de hacerlo, o sea que quizás la oportunidad se diera. Les agradezco encarecidamente que me hayan prestado atención, confío que seré escuchada y que mi petición se conceda. Muy buenas noches, que Dios los bendiga a todos.
¿Le puedo hacer una pregunta?
Sí, señor.
¿El ruido?
Sí.
¿Eso es nada más durante la mañana, la tarde o durante el día entero?
Durante el día que están los muchachos entran y salen, como son diferentes grupos de estudiantes, yo asumo, porque no sé cómo ellos funcionan, que entra un grupo y hacen lo que es PE afuera y se estén en recreación. Los más chiquitos es más bajito, los más grandes gritan realmente fuerte. O sea, pero esto va siendo durante todo el día. Generalmente hasta después de after school, que hay algunos que se quedan afuera, se oye bien fuerte. O sea que para mí sí, para mí es todo el día. En el caso mío yo pienso que si los profesores parquearan, simplemente parquean aquí el carro, ya yo voy a tener una distancia de unos cuantos pies, porque de mi casa a lo que es el parqueo, lo que hay son 5 o 6 pies, una cosa así, es muy pequeñita la distancia. Y verdaderamente el ruido es muy grande. Les agradezco a todos y espero que mi petición sea concedida. Muchas gracias. Buenas noches.
Gracias a usted. Anybody else?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alberto Alonso. My wife and I own 5851 Southwest 15th Street. It's the house, when you're doing the drop-off and pick-up in the school, you're coming in through 16th, through the school. We're the house right across the street, right across 15th Street, where the drop-off and pick-up feeds out to. We bought our house in July of 2013. A few months later, Somerset started operating there. So we've owned that house the whole period of time that Somerset's been there. When my wife and I first bought the property, we just got married, we didn't have kids. Now we have 3 children. 2 of them attend Somerset, and the third one, you know, will be there next year in pre-K. You know, with the cars feeding out, you know, to our property, we would be, I don't know if the most affected, but one of the most affected properties by an expansion in the amount of students there. And I just wanted to let you all know that we've really experienced 0 issues with the cars coming out to 15th. Obviously, I drop off the kids, I have to back out to go to work. My wife does as well during the drop-off period. We've never had a problem getting into and out of our house. We've never seen, you know, the traffic backing up, really. We haven't seen people speeding through 15th Street. You know, the noise level on the drop-off and pickup has been okay. Really, and the school has been a blessing for us. You know, our kids are really happy there. They're doing really well. We feel it's a smaller environment, so they're protected. They stay in our community, so we're very happy. We haven't had any issues as far as they do the drop off and pick up. They stagger it already. They're gonna I guess stagger it more, but the staggering works. They've been very respectful as far as our property. We don't have excess people parking on our swale. We haven't had any issues, so that's what I wanted to let you all know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Bryce Potzer. My wife and I, we live down here on 62nd and 14th, so we're kind of the hybrid family. We walk our kids to school sometimes. We drive them depending on weather, obviously. But we absolutely love the school. I've been a resident here for 7 years. Her whole family's been here for well over 20, 30 years. My sister-in-law started off as a dispatcher here at West Miami. She's now a sergeant for the city of Miami. So we're very involved in the community and been around for years. So as a family, we would love to see the school expand. My wife is heavily involved in it. She's the class mom for both classes. We met the Alberto and his family there as well. We feel the community that the school has developed there is very, very strong, and there's a close-knit group of kids, and we just think, you know, if that was able to expand, it's a big challenge in this area to find a good school to get our kids to, and we feel that Somerset's done a really good job, so we'd love to be able to see you guys approve this project, so we thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Rauling. I live on 62 and 12th Street. How are you, Beto?
Good, how are you?
Good, good.
Mr. Rowling, I need
Neighbor
your
to
last
my
name.
parents.
I need your last name.
Rauling ako. Thank you. And no, I have my daughter Jasmine goes to Somerset now. Super happy with the school. She was a kid that never been to daycare. We were actually terrified. We didn't know how she was going to react. First day of school, like any kid, you know. But they took her in, and the next day she was super happy to go back. The nurturing of the school is incredible. They do a tremendous job with the kids. I actually pick up my kids walking, like he was saying. So the actual the walkway that they're gonna do is gonna be incredible if it actually goes through. Because I'm actually one of those parents that actually picks up my daughter walking, so that'll be awesome. It'll be super safe for me, so I don't have to go through the parking lot. I never see a problem with the parking or anything like that. And I mean, it would be awesome if Benji also he's my son, which is we were hoping that if the school expands, he'll be able to go there as well. So we're in one of the ones that are on the waiting list. So we would appreciate it if it goes through. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Christina Harper. I've lived in West Miami for 40 years. A long time. In the same house too, by the way. I love this community dearly. My 2 sons are here, Charles and Samuel. They attend Somerset. I am so happy and honored for my boys to go to this school. It's an amazing learning place. It's a place where they are becoming good human beings, and all the staff there is amazing. That's the school, but we've never had any issues with pickup or drop off. It's always very smooth. No complaints really. So I think that if you consider this and accept this, I think it would be wonderful to open the school to more families, and to open more families to be able to have their siblings. And I mean, we have friends that are dying to get into the school, and they're on this list and they're waiting. But you know, if this is approved, it would be so wonderful, and so many families would benefit from this. So I really encourage you guys to support this project. And the greenery is gonna look amazing, and that new breezeway, hello, so nice. It's gonna look amazing. So thumbs up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board. My name is Julio Bertomati. I live on 5951 Southwest 12th Street. I've been a resident. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Soler, Mr. Peña. Good to see you again, and even Mr. Villalobos, who I haven't seen in quite some time. I've been a resident for approximately 12 years and 12 days, to be exact. I was counting while I was back there. And it's been a great community. We've recently remodeled our own home and made it much nicer and much pleasant. My neighbors are all happy we've got that project done, and thanks again to Mr. Led for all the help and all the questions that I asked her and bothered her with throughout this past year. My son is pre-K 4 and is a prospective student for Somerset. We're very interested in having him there if that's a possibility. But even if my son doesn't end up at Somerset, as a resident, I'd like to see this project go forward. I think the beautification of the building itself will be a welcome addition to our community. Our community has grown immensely in the 12 years that we've been here. I see a lot of progress, and I'd like that progress to continue. And this project seems to be something that would add on to our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, good evening. My name is Deborah Zagasti. I live on 5761 Southwest 11th Street, and I've been living here for about 30 years. And I'm a teacher at Sylvania Heights as well, 32 years. And I just want to remind you that there are 3 schools within 200 yards. The enrollment increase would be an impact eventually, maybe not right now, obviously it can't be. There's a perfectly good A school 100 yards away, Sylvania Heights Elementary, that provides resources to all students with all learning needs, whether enrichment, gifted, STEM, robotics, language, and special needs. So I just want you to keep that in mind, that there's plenty of square footage for it, plenty of field, plenty of lunch space indoors, and I think it's a pretty good hurricane shelter as well, I would say. It's pretty, at least with all the security and safety issues, I find that is a pretty safe place, even if it were a hurricane shelter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public comment. Would the applicant like to rebuttal now, or would you like for the board to deliberate?
Just for the record, Mr. Chair, we do have Ms. Mata Squee's letter that she sent to the City Commission on file. And we also notified 2,000 radius feet around the property.
Great, thank you.
So I'll be very brief, I promise, on this one. I want to thank all the speakers for their comments. It's great to hear that this is going to be a welcome, but to 2 speakers. So I'll start in reverse order. For the last speaker, I want to thank her. Obviously, I love teachers. I have a lot of family members that are teachers, so I want to thank her for her service. But I think it's a benefit to have choices in the community, especially in West Miami. And this is we're not testing a school. This isn't a new school that we're bringing in here as a pilot. This has been established in the community, and they have done wonderful at this time. So much so that the word's gone around, and so that's why you have a 1,000-person waiting list. So we need to have more capacity with the influx of people moving into West Miami and into the community. To Mrs. Squee's comment, I'd like to bring up, it's already up, the before existing site plan and the proposed. So she lives, we had received a letter, notification letter about 2 weeks ago, and we had given this thought, and if you look at the way the site plan's set up, her property is to the, let me just step away from the mic, but I'm just going to indicate where it is. So as you can see, right now, it's parking. There's no landscaping. There was nothing there to really block the view, number one, but two, help buffer the sound. And so if you look at how we've structured the increased landscaping, those big widths are along those areas. Specifically on her property, we now have 17 feet of width of landscaping. That's with the dense hedging that you're seeing at the bottom, and that's with the gumbo limbo that will also be protecting it. So now you have that area. With the noise, the students were, at times they would play in that asphalt area. Like it was a movable ball games and stuff like that, but now with the additional recreational space to the south, the principal will not have anyone playing in that area, and two, you're going to have the recreational space to the north and to the south, so you're doubling recreational area, and you're increasing the density of the buffer. So that really will help with the noise, and it really will help with even lighting. We have to keep all of our lighting on site. It's a requirement, which we do now. But in terms of cars moving around, if there's any cars going down the street on the angle, you're going to have that enhanced buffering. So that helps lighting, sound, and aesthetically. So I would just like to finish with that. I thank you for your time. If you have any questions, myself, the architect, the rest of the team, school representatives are here to answer any questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and bring it back to the board for discussion. Just two quick questions to staff. I believe in his presentation, I'm just trying to clarify. So the traffic engineer is something the city selected and provided?
The traffic engineer selected by the applicant, which is Richard Garcia.
Okay.
The city has its own traffic engineering company that reviews Mr. Garcia's determinations. Through back and forth, they went ahead and they developed the traffic operation plan that is required of all county schools.
Okay, great. And do we have a copy of the new proposed covenant that's going to be recorded with all the conditions?
You do have a sample resolution there. It might be attached to the approval of the letter of Caltrans. It's on the back of it, but that's the sample resolution. Obviously, it's a sample resolution. I'll go to Mr. Villalobos with anything that comes out of tonight to add to the resolution.
Just a quick couple questions for the applicant. Any board member wants to ask, feel free to jump in. The clusias that are planting, is there a proposed height of installations?
They're asking you, Mr. Williams.
Because I know clusias range from 1.5 feet to 10 feet. So my question is, do you know what they're going to be at the time of planting?
At the time of planting, let me have the, it's on the landscape planting plan, but
Okay.
the landscape architect's here and he can give some more guidance in terms of the.
Thank you so much.
Clusias going in are 18 inches tall. That's the height requirement. But in front of that address too, the row of silver buttonwood trees, they're going in at 12 feet tall right away. And they're going to be about 10 feet apart. So there'll be a continuous buffer in that northwest corner immediately while the hedge grows up.
Okay.
You
So-
said 18 inches?
Correct.
So that's going to take a couple years before it even gets to 6 feet.
Correct.
Probably more.
And the buttonwoods are going to take even longer. To create an actual dense, you're talking to somebody who has 14 silver buttonwoods in this tiny lot, which was a terrible idea, but I'm very familiar with the buttonwoods. At 10 feet apart, at 12 feet, it's going to take a while to create a buffer, if you will. In regards to the pedestrian pathway, I see that both pathways come in from 15th Street, so does that mean that there's not going to be an option on 16th Street for pedestrians? I'm just curious because if you have all your properties south of 15th Street or north of 15th Street, they can walk in, but then you're going to have residents south of 16th Street, they're going to have to go around the building. I'm just curious because the flow also, if you look at the east line coming in from 15th Street, it looks like they have to then walk out into the driveway, not the sidewalk. Am I correct? My
Yeah, from
interpretation?
16th Street, they would. So the way we've funneled it is from, hopefully they'd come from 15th, but we can certainly work with staff to, if you want to put it as a condition.
I guess my question is on 15, if you look at the east side of the property, it looks like the walkway is into the street.
Well, let me have the architect, or Mr. Orlando Llanos, speak on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I can speak to that. My name is Rolando Llanes, offices at 8323 Northwest 12th Street in Doral. Thank you for your time, and we've been trying to also work with Ms. Asqui also as we sort of fly this plane and hopefully get it right before it lands. The walkway that you see on the east side towards 15th, there's an exit out of one of the classrooms there, so it's a sort of an emergency exit. So we provided that path. The pedestrian link on the 15th Street side would be the one on the west. So that's the primary one, as you see that it links to the walkway where you drop off. We could very easily also continue that, and that was an oversight on our part, and I think the landscape architect was, Keel was telling me that earlier, and you just mentioned it. What if that were also to connect to 16th, and we could easily do that. So we would be proposing, I don't have the plan up there right now, but if you continue that walkway south towards 16th to the sidewalk, on the west side, we could certainly do that without a problem. And we would offer to do that.
In regards to the 15th, I mean, if you're doing it through both sides, I think it kind of alleviates my next question, but is there an issue or a possibility of parents parking on the swales and then walking their children in? Or is that going to be discouraged? I guess that may be an operational question. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. That's actually a great question. That's discouraged. Our idea, because number one, because of safety, right? We want all the parents coming into the property, dropping off, and we have our, obviously our assistants, teacher assistants, assisting the students getting into the building. So that would be the idea.
Another random question. On 16th Street, there's currently school signage, blinking lights, that is for the Sylvania. It does not extend to your property. Is that something that's being addressed?
Yes, that's part of the traffic study. They have to go through Miami-Dade County review, and most probably the school zone will be extended eastward.
Yeah, and we have to provide proof of the approval to Juan as a condition to the approval.
Okay. I have no further questions. Any other board member?
I have a couple questions. You were gonna say something?
No, I just wanted to say, if I may, I understood your comment with the time of planting and how long it might take. What we'll do is, if it's okay with you, if we move forward to commission, during that time we're going to look into seeing if we can increase the height of the calusa, of the hedge on the east, to possibly 6 feet at time of planting, and if you'd like to include that in the recommendation to the city commission as well, we're fine with that, so that they know that we had an assignment to work on.
So I can't make a motion, but when the motion is made, that would be part of my condition. I'd like at least 6 feet for the calusias.
Yeah.
I'd like the silver buttonwoods to be a little closer or larger. One of the two.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely look into that. I apologize for the interruption.
That's okay. Couple questions too. On this recreational area on 16th Street, what material is that? Is that going to be the artificial sod or similar to what you have on the 15th side? Is there going to be a fence? Chain link
Yes,
fence?
there
or
will be a
some
fence
type of
lining the play area.
Similar, also a chain link fence,
Mhm.
just like the one on the 15th side.
Let me
15th
have
Street side.
Mr. Orlando Llanes.
Yeah, again, Rolando Llanes. Yes, there will be a fence to protect that, and bollards also on 16th as well, so for added protection.
Okay. The other question is more operational again. If I'm going at dismissal time to pick up my kid and it's 1:30, am I allowed to bring in my car and park on that queuing area, or do I have to wait on 16th or 15th Street and then you open up the gates and all the parents go in?
So the idea is, unless it's an emergency, of course, that the parents do not come. Usually we have like either it's half an hour to 15 minutes before dismissal, so that way when the parents are already queuing inside the building, we don't have any of that entrance. In the event that it is an emergency, we'll have them come in when the gates are open.
Okay, but if dismissal time is at 2:30
Right.
and it's 2:15, am I allowed to go and put my car inside the lot, or do I have to wait outside?
No, onto the side of the
You
building.
are allowed to go
Yes,
inside?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
And just to add, we do have parking for that exact situation on this site that is not assigned for for staff or anyone else. It's assigned for visitors and stacking.
So the parking for staff is the parking on the west side.
So yeah, predominantly. You do have some on the east side, but it's more on the south.
Okay, so I as a parent could go and park there anytime?
Yes.
Wait there.
Correct.
I had a question. I don't know if it's for you or for the principal, but I know you mentioned that it's great to have options in the city, but does Somerset have a criteria to accept a certain number of students that are from West Miami?
So the priority is to accept the West Miami residents.
Okay.
That is, we have 2 enrollment periods. So we have the limited enrollment period, which is for West Miami residents, and then we open it up to the rest. Yeah, that was the same condition that we had when we first came and our commitment to the city.
Okay, so you prioritize the students that live here and the siblings of those
Correct.
who live in the city?
Yes.
Okay. And how many additional classrooms are you going to be adding with this expansion?
11.
11. Yes. Thank you.
Just random question. Is there any programming at the school on Saturdays and Sundays, or is it not used?
So at this time, we don't have a program. The only program that we would do is in the event that we would do a tutoring, but we try to limit it to the weekdays. I mean, that could be a condition if we have to.
No. Frankly, it's my where I'm going is I didn't know if there was a possibility maybe there'd be some sort of an agreement with the city specifically for Cooper Park. We have a parking issue. I don't know if the overflow can be. That may be some of.
That would be great. We have had the opportunity in other cities to work with the park, so
Just
that would
an
be
idea.
great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any motions?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application with the additional conditions of extending the walkway to 16th Street on the west side. That the clusia be 6 feet at the time of planting, and
Silver Buttonwood.
either planted closer or a larger size planting.
Sounds good. Any particular height? 16 feet, 20 feet, I have no idea. I don't know what's appropriate for Silver Buttonwood.
That's up to.
Yeah. Perfect. Great. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call.
Natalie Milian. Gilbert Gonzalez, yes. Diana Rio.
Yes.
And Gustavo Ceballos.
Yes.
Thank you. 4-0.
Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Same to you.
Okay. I'm the liking. No big. You're welcome. Next item on your agenda tonight, number 2. Property address is 1248 Southwest 57th Avenue, Cake Emporium.
Good evening, members
evening.
of the board. Okay, I'm work for the sign contractor. I prepared the drawings for the sign. Basically, it's a illuminated wall sign. It's a channel letter, and it will be mounted in a railway, and the railway directly to the wall. It's a simple sign, in fact, nothing out of the common, and the dimensions are, it has a logo. And the proposed square feet are 19. The drawings shows the colors of the letters and the elements of the sign. Also, it shows the building store frontage and the existing signs there, because the requirements mention that the total business is the total building is required. So in the page number 3, it shows electrical and structural details. It shows us complying with the NEC code, the structural and electrical requirements. Pretty much is that.
Thank you. Seeing no one else in the audience, I'll bring it back to the board. Anybody have any comments, questions?
As stated in the past, we are not allowing the raceway. The letters have to be mounted directly on the wall.
Okay.
And the disconnect switch has to go on the back of the parapet.
Okay.
Staff has no objections to the letters or the signage.
Just I need to remove the railway.
Yes, ma'am.
And what about the location? Is okay? And the dimensions? So do I need to submit another set of drawings for a new board, or just
eliminate the raceway.
and submit the application to the building department?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Unless board has any other requisites.
We have no other comments or questions. I'll entertain a motion.
So I'm sorry for. What did you say about the parapet?
No, the disconnect switch has to be on the back side of the parapet.
Back side of the parapet. Okay.
In other words, the on and off switch on the back side, not on the front side of the wall.
Yes, it will be there.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not a good picture, but
No, but in the diagram right now of your raceway, it's in front.
Right.
So you're saying you need to move it to the back.
yes, yes. Yeah, I'm going to revise the drawings, remove the railway. Obviously the electrical and the structural detail will change, because also I need to remove the railway in that diagram.
Correct.
Because yeah, the letter must be attached to the wall, directly to the wall. And basically that one. Oh, one more thing, the small letter ESTD and the year, they are non-illuminated, they
Right.
are in PVC. It's okay?
Yes.
Okay. And this logo, the crown, this is like a box sign made into the shape of a... No, it's a channel letter too. Box sign, cabinet sign is a different type of sign. This is a channel letter.
It's a channel letter, but what I'm looking at here in yellow is not routed out. This is not like a
like
Yeah,
an
no,
individual
it's a-
piece. This is one whole entire piece
Yeah.
with the.
But it
drawing
will
of
be, it will be manufactured as a channel letter because cabinet signs, they have a different details in the manufacture and the structural part. But yes, it's a box channel with the acrylic face, and the gold part is graphics. It's a 3M translucent graphics.
And it is illuminated.
It is. But the logo and Cake Emporio, because the other, they are non-illuminated because they are small letters, so it couldn't be illuminated.
Can the size of that crown be reduced so that the height of it is similar to the height of the letters of the Cake Emporium?
Could be reduced.
Because right now it looks like it's overpowering the entire, I mean, the background, the back wall is black, the signage is dark blue, unless these colors are off. Right now all I see is that crown.
It could be,
Which is
yeah, it could be reduced.
kind of large for, in comparison to the letters.
What do you suggest?
Same height as the letters of
It's so
Cake
small.
Emporium.
Is this a scale?
Yes, it is.
It's-
No, not this one, but this one is, yeah, scale. The scale is right here. And also it's a scale on the second page. Could be reduced, but I think if the logo is 12 inches, it
Yeah.
wouldn't be,
Yeah, it's kind of small.
yes,
It is
too small.
No less than 20 inches, otherwise it won't be seen.
I understand, but right now you're at 12 and the sign's 32.
Right.
So maybe we can meet somewhere in the middle.
24?
Maybe at half, 24. I also don't think that the established in 1998, is that the color they're going to be brown?
Gold brown. The thing is, the picture is no
My
good.
concern is if it's not illuminated, I don't know how much it really adds to your sign. If after 1 o'clock you're in the shade,
Yes,
so you
of
can't even,
course.
you're not even going to see that sign.
I thought the same, yes, because the designer proposed that these colors. I think the ESTD must be gold too, or if the wall is brown, it must be a different color. But we can change it. So I reduce the logo to 24 inches.
Okay.
Are you proposing any additional signage on the glass, on the windows?
No, I'm not.
Any other comments, questions? Anyone would like to make a motion?
I mean, I'm just wondering because you asked that question about, which, I'm sorry, what's your name again?
Ingrid.
Ingrid is here on behalf of the sign folks, so we don't know if the tenants are proposing to put that on the glass, right? Do we know that?
I'm sorry?
No.
Like,
I
we
couldn't hear
don't,
the question.
we don't know, because Ingrid is here on behalf of the sign company.
Correct.
So, because the question was asked if they're going to add something to the glass, do we know if they're going to add something to the glass?
Anything that they would have to ask, they'd have to come back through
It'd
here.
have to
Yes,
come back
of
for
course.
approval, okay.
So that pawn store came to the board, was approved?
No. No.
No.
No.
I'm sorry?
Not related to the application, but on the second page,
Uh-huh.
that pawn shop, that was something that came to this board and was approved?
No.
No?
They're under citation for all that.
Understood? Thank you.
That is the reason you guys asked for the whole building with the existing signs?
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the signage with the condition
With the
of
condition.
the reduction of the height of the crown to 24 inches maximum height.
All right.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Hearing no further discussion, can I get a roll call?
Gilbert Gonzalez, yes.
Excuse me, what about the color for the ESTD and 199? So you want me to change it?
I don't think the board made a motion either way.
No.
That's up to them.
That's up to you.
That's
That's up to you.
All right,
We made
okay.
comments and opinions, but it's not part of the motion.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Ms. Milian,
Yes.
Ms. Rio,
Yes.
Mr. Ceballos.
Yes.
Item passes 4-0.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Sorry, I didn't see you out there. I would have pulled you before them.
Yes.
It wasn't too bad.
No.
Not even an hour.
No.
What better? What you learned a lot. You learned about a lot about charter schools.
Yes.
Next,
What it is.
going
I
back
was
to
really
the.
happy because oh wow, I'm the second, the second and the last one. Oh my god. No fair. Thank you so much.
Have a good night, holiday. Going back to agenda item number 1, continue from previous board meeting. This is now being developed into an ordinance, the last changes you did, and we'll bring a draft at the next meeting in January.
I would just request that we try to get it at least a week before the meeting so we can kind of review it and.
Once it's in a ordinance form, we'll send it to you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
That's your last item on your agenda.
Okay. Will you need to make a motion to continue it or no action?
No.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? No? Okay. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Pepe, did you vote? Did you put in your Caba
I
vote?
did. Yes, I did.
All right, I better have been on that list.
Yes, you are.
All right.
Good night, buddy. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Sorry I couldn't join you, but I'm under the weather.